Fulani herdsmen brought their cattle into Ogbio Ogium community and started destroying the crops of the villagers. Ogium indigenes are predominantly farmers, so you can imagine how bad this was for them. The village head asked them to leave and delegated about 24 youths to peacefully escort them out of Ogum land. Each of the 24 youths wore voodoo. They were cooked and fortified against bullets, unknowingly to the herdsmen. The Fulani herdsmen cooperated, allowing themselves to be escorted out with their cattle. About 20 of them. When they got to the most desolate and remote part of the wilderness, far from where human settlement was, where they knew that the rest of the village couldn't get a distress call from, the herdsmen turned and started opening fire at the youths. The youths only had big sticks for protection, but were generally unarmed. But they fought back bravely and killed 7 of the Fulani marauders. Unfortunately, the herdsmen had knives, cutlasses, and guns, and when they saw that their bullets were useless against the Ogum youths, they attacked them with their knives and cutlasses and slaughtered 23 of them. Except the last one, which happened before my eyes. I was posted to a community called Ogium in Nokwa, west of Delta State. I taught creative arts at the popular Ogium Grammar School. I will never forget that sunny afternoon. I was returning to my PPA from school break in Port Harcourt, where I went to spend my holidays, because I couldn't travel all the way back home to Iyo. I was on a bike, thundering down the desolate stretch of that Ogumama highway from Quail, when my bike mount suddenly caught the bike brakes and meandered us into the bush nearby. I thought he had lost his mind. "Oga, you dey craze." I fumed as the wet weed and mud splattered all over my khaki pants. He signaled me to hush up and stay low behind some thicket, then he jabbed his finger ahead, and that was when I saw it. A group of Fulani herdsmen with turbans and automatic rifles were dragging a young villager out of the bushes to the center of the tarred road. The young man looked not more than 19 years and had light bruises all over his neck. He appeared like he had been struggling with someone in a fight and rolling on soil. The Fulani herdsmen were speaking rapidly and slapping him, and before we knew it, one of them cocked his rifle and fired point blank at this young native. As the smoke cleared, we were shocked to see the young native boy still standing and not on the floor. His left arm was clenched against his chest defensively and resolutely, otherwise he looked unscathed. The Fulani herdsmen we saw were about 13. I will never forget that number, because what followed next will shock you. Each of the 13 Fulani herdsmen opened fire into the head and body of this young man continuously. It was like a fireworks display. They riddled his body with bullets and literally blasted the young man from one side of the expressway to the other side. His body was flung back and forth like a rag doll as the volley of bullets rammed into his anatomy in quick succession. All the young man chanted repeatedly was, "Quick!" From where we watched, there was no perforation on his body. Not a single gunshot wound we could see. Not a single drop of blood. What the herdsmen did next will shock you to death. Finally, they tied the legs and hands of this man and dragged him back to their own side of the road, where they consulted each other for a few minutes, speaking and gesticulating in Fulani. And the most unusual spectacle happened. 2 of them vanished into the adjoining swampy tropical forest and led back a particularly large bull with horns like a weapon made from rhinoceros horns and elephant tusks. 5 extra herdsmen held the cow in position and steadied his head so the horns pointed slightly forward. Then another 3 grabbed the villager they had earlier tied, lifted him on their shoulders, ambled towards the bull and slammed the poor young man repeatedly into the horns of the animal. The young man cried out in pain, and for the first time, he started bleeding. It didn't take up to 5 tries until the cow's horns neatly impaled his abdomen and ribcage, and the irate bull huffed and tossed his dismembered body to the ground, where it commenced stomping the hemorrhaging body with its hooves. Every time the cow stopped stomping, one of the Fulani herdsmen would make a clicking sound with their tongue and push the bloody body of their victim into its forelimbs. And the cow would indignantly start stomping what it thought was the enemy all over again. All of this while, the herdsmen stood by laughing and pointing, and when they were satisfied that their victim had been successfully killed, they fired some shots into the air signaling victory, pulled the cow away and filed into the forest. I was in a daze over what I just witnessed. The bike man kept muttering "KWEKH" under his breath too. After we were sure the Fulani marauders were out of earshot, we strolled out to the road and I begged the bike man to allow us carry the body of the boy back to Quail Township where a hospital could attempt to save what was left of his life. But as soon as we got to the body, we realized it was all over. The young man's entire digestive system had been ripped out of his abdomen by the cow's horns and a big stone had been used to smash his skull for good measure. But that wasn't even the worst of it all. Lying in the bush there a few yards from us were the 23 dismembered and decapitated bodies. Ogium youths. None more than 20 years. The bike man told me to get on the bike so we continue our journey and he would alert the villagers of what had happened. I couldn't even argue. I sat on the bike and we rode off. I was becoming sick at everything. Ogium community brought all 24 bodies of those brave young men to the village center at Ogbio and mourned for 14 days. Every indigene painted ash on their forehead the entire period. Ogium was declared out of bounds for any and every human of Fulani and Hausa ethnicity from that moment. Till date. The villagers used the blood of their 24 fallen comrades to concoct a very powerful voodoo to secure the entire boundary of Ogium community, making it inaccessible to Fulani herdsmen. No Fulani crossed their border and lived for 30 minutes. From then till now, no Fulani is seen in Ogme.